Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today is January 3rd, 2024, and today is Wednesday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, the tech sector starts off the year with a big sell-off. But first, looking at today's major economic events. So we start out the day at 5 p.m. South African time out of the United States. We have an ISM Manufacturing PMI numbers coming out. That's followed with a JOLTS job openings number coming out. And lastly, at 9 p.m. South African time, the first of the year, FOMC Rate Statement. That's a huge interest rate decision from the U.S. states. Now, looking at the various markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, the U.S. dollar advances. And as we look at the indices, the Dow Jones unchanged while the NASDAQ sells off, representing those tech stocks. Now, looking at commodity, gold remains unchanged while oil sells lower. Now, looking at the stock, like mentioned, the tech stocks sell off, but healthcare stocks actually advance. Now, lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin continues and holds on to its gains. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. First with the Euro USD, it plummeted further. I mean, not a big deal, 45 pips, but this could continue going. Now, what's very important is because we're having this FOMC rate statement and the dollar is affected by it. So it's kind of interesting to see that at this threshold, we actually, before the number, actually sold off. So that's really an important element to it. Now, looking at the GBP USD, same story. The dollar advances versus the British pound. Now, looking at the Aussie dollar, it advanced even more. So this is really where it's kind of like a who do you choose the most as the weakest versus the dollar, and that's the one to go the lowest, and who is resilient to the dollar, and when things turn around, that's going to be the first one to go up. So that's nice to have this relative strength, one versus the other when we're looking at the Forex symbols. Now, if we look at the Japanese yen, it also got a little bit weaker versus the dollar, but it's at a threshold anyway, okay? So there's no really something that's jumping out and telling me, oh, this is happening, and this is, it's going to be a breakout or something like that. We're in choppy waters right now, and I think the markets are still consolidating and trying to understand where we are from here. Now, we did gravitate higher versus the dollar in the Japanese yen. It got stronger. The euro got stronger. Okay, so these things are getting stronger in general. But specifically speaking, right now we're in a choppy environment, okay, until there's some further direction. Now, looking at the Turkish Lira, continues to go lower, 29.73. We're inching in on that big 30 number. Now, jumping into commodities, gold really unchanged day to day, 20.63. Yesterday we were at 20.75, not a big deal. Crude oil, though, retracing back to its lows of $70 a barrel. Now, if it continues doing this, now this may have been a dead cat bounce, which means that this little rally that we had wasn't really a rally, but we may be consolidating here. So that's one of the two options. So just be aware of it. I wouldn't get too aggressively short around this area, but I wouldn't look to pick it up and buy it either. Okay, ironically, that's the kind of environment that we're in. Now, jumping into the U.S. markets, Dow Jones holding on to its gains, maybe just about 20 points, 30 points off of its highs. But look at the NASDAQ. Over 300 points yesterday, sold off, okay, which is between before market, after market, and that's significant, okay? Now that means there are people taking money off the table. Now, some of the biggest losers, Apple, look at that, 192 down to 185, a big gap down. That's an important element. If we look at Facebook, also sold off, but not big, okay? So again, it's a question of relative strength. Which ones are the weakest? And you could see that Apple sold off tremendously lower and gap down, so we could still be facing a further sell-off moving into this session. Looking at Microsoft, also a very choppy market, also just consolidating, but did sell off, okay? And so there is some weakness there. Now, looking at the other stocks, right? The JP Morgan, look at that, on its highs. Not only on its highs, went even higher yesterday. Ironically, it's on its all-time record highs, 172, and it's right there. So this may catalyst us on the upside for those type of stocks. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, take a look at this, okay? Holding on to its gains. All the tech stocks really lost yesterday. We're looking at NVIDIA here. You can see it also to 481, down from 495. That's a serious sell-off there as well. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, let's get to it. How come it's not showing up? Let's bring it up. There it is, right next to me. All right, at $45 a share now. It's holding on from yesterday. The question is, will it be able to hold on to today? It pushed a little bit higher yesterday, but didn't sustain it. So I'd be inclined to think maybe this would be a resistance-ish level. So gotta respect it, gotta see what the FOMC number is going to come out. It's going to affect it somehow. Don't ask me how, but it's going to affect it also, okay? Markets work together. There's general sentiment, there's specific sentiment, but if generally speaking, the markets are weary, everything is weary, okay? So just keep that in mind going into today's session. This is Fed Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.